Hi, welcome to part 2 of rabbit adoption counseling. This part of the presentation is going to focus on socializing and training rabbits. So what does socializing in a shelter mean? Basically, socializing is training volunteers on body language to make proper approaches to rabbits in cages, petting the rabbit in the cage, practice picking up the animal and removing from the cage, walking around the facility and sometimes allowing guest interactions, and also allowing the rabbit to run around the floor in the safe area. At the MSPCA, Nevins Farm, we started a clicker training program. And what we found with rabbits is rabbits will take to clicker training just like a cat or dog, though you always need to remember they are prey animals, so your approach to clicker training should be a little bit modified. The key to working with rabbits is patience and repetition. I can't stress that enough. Patience is really the key. Clicker training at the shelter not only helps us work through some behavioral issues, but also promotes education and is fun for the volunteers. It influences the rabbit's behavior in two ways. One, through positive reinforcement. Reward with click and treat, and they do when they do something that you want to see repeated. You do not use negative training tactics like water in the face or pressure on the head for down. It's all positive. And you simply ignore behaviors that you don't like. So what are the pros and cons to clicker training in a shelter setting? Some of the pros are it provides enrichment for the rabbits. It gets volunteers involved. It doesn't require a lot of time to see results. Usually 5 minutes a session. Success can be seen in as little as 2 weeks. You're able to potentially place tougher behavioral cases. It's a great way to educate public that rabbits can be fun and exciting in the home. It's a low cost to start a program. It's easy to inform adopters how to continue at home. Things that are kind of cons with clicker training in the shelter. Not every rabbit is a good candidate for clicker training in the shelter. Volunteer training is really important to get consistency with what you're training for. Volunteers can potentially get more attached to animals that may still not be able to be adopted or placeable. And not much information is out there about clicker training small animals in a shelter environment. So it's kind of like a pilot program, and techniques should be modified as you go. So what do you need to clicker train a rabbit? Patience. Again, patience is the key. Not all animals learn at the same pace, so just keep that in mind. Yummy bite-sized treats called reinforcers are the best way to start. Single leaves of cilantro, bits of dried papaya, banana, carrots, etc. can also be used. You can also just use petting or free time out of the cage as a reinforcer. A box clicker and iClick, which has a softer sound, and the clicker provides a consistent sound. It's much better than saying good bunny or something like that. It's something that really can pinpoint a behavior. We really love target sticks, which you'll see up in the right hand corner. They're great for shy or fearful rabbits. Basically, you got to think of the target stick as an extension of your hand. So getting started. Initially, you can muffle the clicker sound to make sure that the rabbit is not startled. You can click when you give the rabbit their food bowl, hay, or bowl full of treats. This is building positive association with the click sound. But do be careful not to click for unwanted behavior such as charging the cage, biting the door, or when you put the food in if they seem startled or afraid. As soon as the rabbit makes an association between the clicking and treating, move on to the next step in training. Here are the clicker training steps. First one for a rabbit would be to load the clicker. What I mean by that is you click and treat, and then click and treat, click and treat, click and treat. So you're not really waiting for behavior, you're just getting that positive association with the clicking noise. So if a rabbit's not comfortable enough to take treats out of your hand, put the treats in the ground or use petting at first. Next step would be watch and have patience. Let the rabbit come to you, click and treat for positive behaviors. No need to use verbal cues just yet. Clicking marks the behavior at the precise moment of the action. So you want to think of the clicker kind of like a camera. You're trying to click at the moment you want to take a picture of an action you want repeated. So if you're trying to teach the rabbit to get up on its back feet, the minute you see the rabbit naturally get to that up position, you click and deliver a treat or a reinforcer. Once you start to see behaviors repeated, feel free to start naming them while the rabbit is doing them. So then after a while, the rabbit might start going up because it knows it's going to get clicked and treated for that. So you can start saying up as the rabbit is going into that position and then click. Start saying the behavior's names before the action. So once the rabbit starts mastering that, you can actually start kind of giving them verbal prompts. So then you can say up, wait for the action to happen, and then click and treat. Remember, keep the sessions short, ideally less than 5 minutes, 20 bite-sized treats. Stop when out. You always want to try to end on a high note. Give several treats for that last click. These are just some ideas of what to click for. One would be presenting with their head lowered for pets. Any non-aggressive movement towards the cage door. So one of the things, a lot of times rabbits are a little protective over their cage. So if you enter the cage and you see them slowly go up to you with relaxed eyes, that would be a moment that you'd want to click and treat. However, if the rabbit jumps towards you, or you see the whale eyes or the ears back and the inside the ears facing out, do not click for that. That would be more of a form of aggression that you're seeing. Another thing to click for would be touches. If the rabbit touches your hand or the target stick. This is a great way to train to approach the adopter, and you'll see a little video clip on that a little bit later. And remember, any rabbit can be trained. We just undo natural behavior as a prey animal. You start clicking for behavior. Basically, you're observing and click and treat for desired behavior as putting their paws on your hand, standing on their hind feet, or going into the cage on their own. You can click for being held for short durations without fussing. When you put them down, you can treat, extend the time, and hold gradually. You can use a target stick or 2 fingers together to create a behavior, which is kind of hand prompting. So you can move your hands in a circle or do an up, and you'll see an example of that in a video shortly. You can shape behavior by clicking for each step along the way until they learn the whole sequence. If you make a mistake, remember, if you click that clicker, you still want to reinforce. Just try not to make the mistake again. Train 1 behavior for each session and reinforce 12 times.
Zero, come. Good boy. Zero. Hey, up. Good boy. Zero. Come here. Come. Over here. Just over here. Come. Good boy. Zero, up. Good boy. Ready, circle? Zero, circle. Circle. All the way. Come on. All the way. Good boy. Let's try that one again. Okay? Zero, circle. There we go. Good boy. Zero. Oh, yes, I see you. I'll give you that one for free. Zero. Come here, circle. Good boy.
So one of the things we'll teach rabbits in the shelter is to come to the front of the cage to touch a stick. This helps them approach adopters when they come. So if you put a stick and tell them to touch, click when their nose touch, and then you have a couple seconds to deliver their treat, which is usually a little piece of papaya or something they really enjoy. So the more often we do this, the easier it is to get rabbits out when adopters come to meet them.
This is the general, and we're going to try to do a little clicker training with him today. So what you need, he hasn't been, we haven't tried clicker training with him before, so what I'm going to use is a target stick. This is basically just a wooden dowel with something that they can touch. You could even put a ball on the end. I have little pieces of carrot here. You can use like a little sprig of parsley. You can use dried fruit like banana chips and pineapple chips. The important thing is to keep it very small and to only go through probably 20 treats in a training session, which is about 3 to 5 minutes. So what I'm going to see what he'll do first is touch the stick and then treat. He's not interested in this particular treat. Let's try some dried blueberries. There we go. So I'm going to move the stick around. And every time he touches the stick, he'll get a treat. And it looks like he's figured that out fairly quickly, which is usually what they do. This is very important. It helps us to teach a rabbit to come to the front of a cage when they're in the shelter. You can also eventually train a rabbit to go into a cage or out of a cage when you're trying to clean them, to go in and out of a crate. Other things you can do to train rabbits are to give you 10. Here, General. You can train them to go in circles. This is basically an enrichment. The rabbits really enjoy the game. You can try different things. Sometimes what you can do is set up just a little small square of rug on the floor, and that will be their mat. So they know when they go on the mat that it's ready for game time. You can also use this when dealing with shy rabbits. Some rabbits don't like to be petted, so what you might start off as you approach their cage, if they don't back away, click and treat. As you try to approach them, if they don't move, click and treat. And then you can click and treat with your hand over them if they remain still, till eventually you can start to pat them.
The videos you just saw were just some basic clicker training of when I started clicker training my rabbit Zero at home. That was one of his first sessions, so you can see you can get started really simply. And then going on to a couple of the things that we would work on clicker training in the shelter. That concludes the Part 2 section on clicker training. The next section is going to be on working with specific behavior issues that you might see in the shelter. So now you can actually log into Part 3, and that's the final portion of the rabbit adoption counseling.